Hi everyone, Siege back here again with another RPG challenge run video for today. We are playing Suikoden 2, the sequel to Suikoden 1 of course. Another game from the PlayStation 1 era, and as promised, I am going to redeem myself. Redemption from not staying true to the challenge run concept of the first video that I made for Suikoden 1, which was supposed to be an attack only run. This time though, we are making sure that we only employ auto-battle command and nothing more. There are ways we can heal even during battle, but none of that is going to happen here. There is going to be some healing, but there's going to be minimal of that in this one. Also, if this video gets 100 likes, I will do another run with Suikoden 2, but with only items. How's that for a challenge for you guys? Anyways, can we beat Suikoden 2 with only auto battle? Let's dive right in. We of course start by naming our hero. This time, I decide to call him I Attack. I know, right? Very creative. This is again so we have a constant reminder on screen of what we are supposed to do. It would be bad if we start casting runes and all during combat, right? By the way, I won't be going into detail that much about the story of this game, but do know that I believe it is a very good one. If you haven't played it, then you're missing out, so pause the video, play it, and go back here. We get our first dose of combat here, and thanks to the HD remaster, everything looks pretty damn awesome. I know I just did a unite attack here, but I just really wanted to see how the particles look like. This is going to be my first playthrough of the game, specifically on the remaster, so I have not seen the updated animations and all. Anyways, this mini battle is not really that hard, and we take the win. Do take note of this space. We shall get back here towards the end, and jumping we shall go. Flick here is actually insane, hitting us with a sword. I'm glad that our body's made of steel so we don't just die at the start of the story. After escaping our captors, we meet a circus troupe that is going to the same place we are. With their help, we fight the first boss of the run, the Mistshade, and immediately get owned and die. Not a very good start to the run. We immediately start grinding some levels to bring our power levels up. And with Lady Luck on our side, we snag a double beat orb from these killer bunnies. The double beat orb allows anyone using it to attack twice. Might not seem much, but that is basically 100% damage increase on anyone using it. We are blessed at this section of the game by the RNG gods and actually are lucky enough to get 2 copies, plus a killer rune to boot. A very good start to this challenge run. However, we are unable to equip them just yet as we don't have access to the rune shops. Mistshade here is weak to fire. However, due to run restrictions, we are unable to use it as it is locked under the rune command. The idea here is to use our friends to spam fire skills and items that they have to make this fight easy. We are not able to do that though. With enough grinded level, we do win against the Mistshade. We then go meet Nanami, our sister, at our home, and she does seem to be a bit overpowered in this portrayal, as she casually pulls us out like a toy and even smashes us against some rocks over here. After getting caught, we get rescued by some familiar faces. Hey Victor and Hey Flick. These two dudes are returning characters from the first game and is a nice addition to our party, although just temporarily. They join at around level 20 and they help us save Nanami. After getting some freedom to roam around, we get the opportunity to recruit some people to our side. Bonaparte here is the pet of this young lady Millie. However, they had a bit of an argument, and this cute thing is out to swallow the team. There's not much to say about this fight other than us getting some lucky knockouts, such as a free turn of attacking for our side. Do take note that we have a squirrel as part of the team. Animals in Suikoden 2, as I noticed, have a higher than average attack power compared to non-animal characters. This is probably to compensate from not being able to customize them that much. You can't put equipments or weapon upgrades on them. We take advantage of that in this run in the early game to dish out the pain to these opponents. We then pick up our Bright Shield rune, which, although we won't be using it during battle, is very handy for some pocket healing all throughout the run. We then have to fight Doublehead inside the Sindar ruins. We managed to beat this boss first try due to several factors. First is we are already able to use the 2 double beat runes we got early in the run. Joey and Muku Muku are currently using them. As you can see, Muku Muku is dealing the most damage in the party. In addition to decent levels and armors, we best the Double Beast. After some not so great acting skills, we get tasked to infiltrate the Highland camp to learn about how much supplies the enemy have. No boss fights here, but we do get a pretty good rune here, Fire Sealing, which shall be relevant later. Now, another feature of Suikoden 2 so far are these army battles. The only reason I want to mention these are basically huge RNG parties. We want to damage Gilbert's unit here in order to get him to our side. This is important if you want to recruit all of the 108 stars, which is also something I wanted to do in this playthrough. If you have watched my previous Suikoden 1 challenge runs, you would know that this is one of the main sources of botch. However, in Suikoden 2, this was not particularly the case. One factor I believe that plays into this is that I did not really know who to approach for the gambling part. It unlocked, I think, late in the run, and that the castle HQ we got is very, very big. It's like a giant maze that does not really make him easily visible to interact with. Grinding was instead where all the money came from, and I was consistently at max potch throughout the end of the run. We also meet 2 more returning characters here, Taiho and Yamku, who again help us with both related matters. Next up is the Celestial Sword. We did not have to fight this character in the previous game, but here it is a bit pissed as Victor left it in a cave to rot alone for quite a long time. This fight is a pretty good fight in general as it has some mechanics that we can kinda manipulate to our advantage. The Celestial Sword likes to frequently use an ability to hit the middle column of your party repeatedly until it dies. We take advantage of this by putting our lowest DPS units in that place, at the same time making sure that they are as durable as possible to hopefully buy time to DPS the sword down. Turns later, we do grab the victory. Next in line for our bosses is the Abomination. Unlike in Suikoden 1, bosses in this game sometimes get extra perks, like in this instance, an extra turn on us instead of the usual back and forth you usually get. This makes them more deadly as there's that extra turn for them to possibly use an AoE attack, which is again the main weakness we need to overcome with our strategy. During this first attempt, it is clear that I nearly don't have enough damage to kill this Abomination. Add to the fact that it has a pretty nasty AoE attacks that kill my party pretty quickly. It will really be a test of dealing as much damage as possible in a short amount of time. We are missing damage. We need to solve that. In order to solve that problem, we need my second double beat rune back. I accidentally left it on Joey, not knowing I won't have a chance to remove it afterwards. So, reload is one thing we need to do right now. We also want to max out our weapon levels as well as adding in enchantments. In Suikoden 2, you can equip either a lightning rune or a fire rune, which changes your element to that, and in addition, adds 25% extra damage on top. This is very important, especially if you put it on a unit with a double beat rune. That's basically a 50% damage decrease. This made the Celestial Sword fight rematch a breeze, and with better knowledge of the game, we come back to the Abomination. This time around, we are more prepared and ready to bring the heat against this boss. Key changes here. The Fire Ceiling plus the Fire Lizard rune on Nanami nullifies all fire damage this boss is dealing towards her, and also doubles her damage output. One thing I did observe during the editing of this video is that this boss is actually weak to fire, and for some reason, I was not exploiting it. I was instead using lightning runes on Freddy and Victor, which meant I was missing some extra damage there. We also got back the double beat rune from Joey and placed it on Victor this time. Victor, similar to Suikoden 1, deals tremendously high physical damage, and with that, furthers our DPS. We managed to eke out the win, which probably would be more convincing if all the party had fire runes equipped. Another victory under our belt. After dealing with the Abomination, we get to name our castle. We attack. Yeah, I know, I'm very creative. Finally get our warehouse back up, which I was desperately needing to unload some items from our inventory. I also pick up Hilda and Alex from the Deer Inn to have heals in the item shop unlocked in the HQ. Similarly, Hans for our armory to be always available.
The Paskrat is our next boss, conveniently located at the exit of the sewers. The first attempt was a loss, which was basically just a damage test if I could beat it at my current levels. On the second attempt, we were much more successful. Additional levels plus some great units here that I would like to talk about a little bit more. Zamza can be a decent unit to wield the Fire Ceiling rune. It synergizes well with his Fire Dragon rune, which allows him to deal double damage but take half of it back. This gets nullified by the Fire Ceiling rune, although this might not work as it says that his ability does not work during auto battle. Ulan here is also a potentially good character to use, even during the late game. Getting her a Fury rune will allow her to constantly deal double damage consistently, which is pretty good. Downside though is that she does not have enough rune slots to keep a double beat rune to really take her damage even further.
Now, you might be wondering why you're currently watching a random monster battle right now. These monware, as they are called, are pretty nasty during our auto battle setup. These horrid creatures have insanely high tech at around 145 based on the wiki, which against our own give them very high evasion, and in addition to that, a counter hit on everyone getting too close. So high that our party almost gets wiped. These monsters feel more like a boss battle than a random encounter. This happens twice in this play session. Fortunately, we have Muku Muku still inside the party. He is long ranged and allows us to live through this scenario at least. Next up is Harpy. And I would say Harpy to be one of the toughest boss battles in this run, even though it's entirely optional. She is part of the side quest if you aim to recruit Humphrey and Futch. This first fight is a loss, but shows us the power of Humphrey. Humphrey and Futch are also returning characters from the first game, And if you use your save when starting this game, you get some bonuses. For Humphrey, that is the Windspawn armor. A very high defense armor at I think around 65 that turns Humphrey basically immortal. You might think that this is due to the wind resistance, but outside magic attacks, he barely takes any damage. For the rest of the run, him and Fudge become permanent members of the main party due to their flexibility and sheer power. Probably could have found a better replacement for Fudge though, but he was working well enough at his job that I did not find the need to replace him. The fifth attempt was where we made progress and eventually found victory. Upon rewatching all four attempts, the party can take at most 4 AoE attacks from Harpy before perishing. This attempt, I only got 2. We could say that this is luck, and I would kinda have to agree with this in some way. Though they do say luck is a skill. In tackling this fight, I re-optimized everyone's gear, focusing on maximum damage output for everyone. In the highway village directly south of this mountain, you can buy fire emblems that don't offer that much in terms of defense but do add 10 strength for each. Equipping 3 on each character nets us a total of around 180 strength. Since Nanami can equip those, we move our strength increasing items from eye attack to Nanami to really maximize output. This, coupled with making sure everyone except Humph and Hutch have lightning runes equipped, give us enough DPS to really bring the power. The only reason I can't give Humph and Hutch lightning runes is that I can't customize their gear just yet as I haven't officially recruited them. When I say luck is a skill, this is what I mean. Yes, luck does play a part, but reducing the turns the boss can take by increasing our output in terms of damage allows us in some way to manipulate that luck. Also, I got a lot more critical hits in this last attempt that further sped up the fight. This section is going to be a major grind for me. For you, it's going to be a couple of seconds, I guess. I spent around 4 hours in this part of the game. Probably the most in any part of this entire playthrough. So, what was so important for this grind? Well, if you remember, the double beat rune, which again, just to recap on everyone, gives the user an extra attack or basically an extra turn, which we got from the killer bunnies early on in the game. We can now get them again. Now, you could ask, why did I not farm it early on? Well, pretty simple. I did not really have a plan as I went into this challenge run. I guess that's not really a good way to enter into a challenge run. Basically, I was making it up as I went. So I was routing the run while recording, which added to the fun of it. So, since I already had 2, I needed 4 more. And it basically took me an hour on average to get 1. This is the key to taking our damage higher than ever before. Basically, it's going to be a 400% damage increase on all of our 4 characters that will be getting 1 of each. This is also another reason why we want units with at least 2 rune slots. One for double beat rune and the other for a future rune that we have yet to see. For now, we use killer runes as replacements, and I think I had 2 copies lying about in my storage, so we give those and increase our advantage during auto battle. So, how powerful are we right now with 4 extra double beat runes? Well, here's the worm 5 to demonstrate. We beat the worm after 1.5 turn. Even took no damage thanks to a lucky crit plus knockdown hit from Fudge. This clearly shows how much damage 4 extra double beat runes really add to the team.
The first attempt was basically again a damage test. Luca Blight here is a very interesting fight. First of all, he hits like a truck. He has three ways of making you feel this: a single target 3-hit attack, a slashing front row attack, and a mid-column pierce attack. To add to this, he can do this not just twice, but thrice per cycle. Yeah, I know, that is a lot of damage. And if you think that is all, nope, there is more. You have to fight him 3 times, and to add more to that, you have to use 3 distinct parties. Yeah. And note that he is not the final boss of the game, but he sure as hell does feel like one. So, what's the strategy here? Outside ensuring everyone has decent gears, weapons, levels, we need some specific ones. First is to ensure that the front 3 units are as tanky and as beefy as possible, since all of his 3 attacks hit someone in the front. Second is to make sure that the first 2 parties have at least 1 long-range unit. The first 2 fights have some soldiers with him. This ensures that the unit behind Luca does not stay alive for the duration of the fight. Since AUTOBATTLE selects targets at random, we want to have the ability to at least take out that final unit in the back. Finally, is damage. You can actually lose the first 2 battles and still win the third. The difference that this will make is that the final fight will be longer as he will have more HP, meaning he has also more time to deal damage to you. I actually learned only about this while writing the script, which meant that instead of splitting up my main 6 units evenly across the 3 sub-parties, I could have just sacrificed the first 2 fights and duked it out with him on the third, which would have been a more interesting fight, I think. I still would have won with this setup as I had so much damage that since he only has around 6,500 HP, similar to the worm previously that we just decimated, we probably could have won that setup as well. After the Luca boss fight, the next few bosses don't really pose much of a threat. Even if she resists physical damage here, Sierra, it is still not enough to stave off our relentless fury of attacks. She does like to prioritize killing my female units for some reason. A few turns later, she goes down and transforms into a white bat. You also pick up a budget version of a better rune, the double-edged orb. Basically adds 50% more damage at the expense of taking 50% more as well. First try win against Sierra. Next boss is easy but that's a very amusing entry cinematic. Boss does not look as it feels. This stone golem should be beefy and tanky. Sadly, it is weak to lightning and guess what rune all our weapons are imbued with? Yep, lightning. So the 25% bonus damage becomes 50% and of course a normal 100% damage gets amped up to 200%, which after 2 turns destroys this golem. Another first win attempt. Necklord is up next, and apparently what we killed in the first game was only a mere copy. This time, with the help of 2 specialists, we are able to prevent that and finally have a true final duel with him. Unfortunately, similar to the last 2 bosses, he goes down after 2 to 3 turns. No gimmicks this time, I hope. This time, Necklord dies permanently. I'm not sure, but does he make an appearance in Suikoden 3? I'm not sure as I have not played that game yet. The Bone Dragon is up next and should be easy but... Hey, why am I dealing 0 damage here? Wait, not everyone is dealing 0 damage. Karen is dealing some. Nope, don't worry, this is actually my fault. Bone Dragon is immune to lightning so we deal no damage as everyone except Karen is lightning infused. After fixing everyone's runes, we fight the dragon again. This time, we are able to deal damage to it. 3 turns later, boss goes down again. Looks like everything is dying quickly, right? Well, so far yes, that is just how busted 6 double beat runes are. Imagine the early bosses if I actually farmed 6 early on.
Next up is the Golden Wolf, which is just basically a glorified mob. 1.5 turns is all we need for this wolf. First try, victory once again.
We also get a rematch with the worm in the forest here.
But wait, who is that in the party? Yeah, it's No Heals. Well, if you don't know who he is, go watch my last challenge run video. This is Makdol, the hero of the first game. This is another bonus you get if you play this game with the save file of the first loaded in. We dispatch the worm pretty quickly here and move on to the second phase, the moth. Even at the party of 4, we are able to dispatch of the moth pretty easily. Also, we seem to be lucky enough on this fight with some lucky knockdowns and crits. Crits in this game deal 3 times damage. Yeah, I know, it's a lot of damage. Normally it's 2x. Add to the fact that we are using the double-edged rune means we are hitting like a truck every single turn.
Gordo is next.
The leader of the Matilda Knights, although a very bad one at that. This first attempt is where I really get punished for having the double-edged rune equipped on my main character. Since we only have Joey in the party, we have an increased chance of getting hit and therefore being punished. Not being lucky enough on the first attempt almost made me want to reset. The second attempt though was lucky enough to serve us some crits and net us the win. After the Gordo fight, Muse gets liberated, which means that the shops are back up again. We want to visit the rune shop this time here. In the rare finds section, we have the chance of finding the best rune to boost our damage, the Fury Orb. This is similar to the double-edged rune without the downside. Yup, just pure upside. The next power-up we are getting is getting our weapons to level 16. After winning the last army battle, you can visit this town located in the upper left of the city-states area and buy the golden hammer. This allows you to upgrade weapons to level 16 at your HQ.
Next up is Seed and Kulgan.
The second to the last boss we have for the game. Seed is weak to lightning while Kulgan is weak to fire. I could have mixed up the party and had half with fire runes and half with lightning runes, but there was no need for this. Also, Flick here was dealing so much damage. 1,500 damage on Seed and 771 on Kulgan. Flick was really feeling himself here. A few turns later, we win on the first try. The final boss of Suikoden 2 is the Beast Rune, or an incarnation of it. When you fight this boss, there are a lot of factors to consider, so let's break those factors down one by one. The left leg is the most annoying part as it has the capability of full healing apart from 0. The floating rune protects the left head from taking damage, or I think it kinda creates a shield of some sorts. The left head is annoying on its own way, as it is able to cast a very huge and powerful fire attack that can damage your whole party. The right side of this boss also has its own perks. The right leg can cast debuffs on your party, so that you can also be annoyed, very much so. And finally, the right head is the least annoying of all, so at least we can save that for last. That is a lot to deal with. 5 targets that can all make each attempt a death sentence. The main problem here is that there are 5 targets. That is a lot to deal with. 5 targets that can all make each attempt a death sentence. The main problem here is that there are 5 targets. AUTOBATTLE, as mentioned before, is random, meaning we don't have control on what gets focused. You can see that we have turns where we deal just 0 damage on the left head because the rune is still alive and well. Also, spreading our damage is not a very good strategy as the leg can heal a part back up to full. So, what are we gonna do here? Is this just going to be a luck dependent fight? Well, no, and again, as mentioned before, luck is a skill. So, what can we do to win against the Beast Rune? Well, here's a list of what I did. Number 1. Upgraded everyone's lightning rune to thunder runes. This change increases the bonus damage from 25% to 50%. This allows for more bursting opportunities on the parts when we are lucky enough to target them, especially the rune part itself. Number 2. Equip 1 Fury rune, 1 Double-Edged rune, and 1 Waking rune on the team. You are already familiar with the first 2 runes I mentioned. The Waking rune is also a similar one, but you have to get first before it activates in order to deal the bonus damage. I know I could have farmed more Fury runes by checking the Muse's Rune Shop's rare finds list, but I was not lucky enough for this. I also lost 1 extra Fury rune after the reset due to bad RNG, so we're down to 3. Since I was not lucky enough with Fury runes in Muse, I opted to do some attempts to see if damage output was already enough. On this second attempt, luck was not on my side. Auto battle targeting was very poor and I died immediately. The third attempt was just a Hail Mary. I just wanted to know if I had decent luck if a win was close to possible. And as you see here, I even activated the speed up system and let's just watch and see what happens. Wait, what just happened? I won in 4 turns? Well, I guess I'll take it. Luck was basically back on my side on this attempt. Turn 1 was not that important. Turn 2, we were lucky enough to focus fire the rune thanks to Fotch and Flick, which opened up the next 2 turns, turn 3 and 4, for a beatdown on both remaining heads. Also, another thing I noticed that I did differently here was I did not have a ranged unit. This meant that both legs never got targeted, which meant that as soon as the orb was down, I only actually had 2 targets to deal with instead of 4. And I guess you only need to kill both heads for the victory. And that brings us to the end of this run. I had a lot of fun doing this challenge and I hope you had fun watching it too. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and share it to your fellow fans. If this video gets at least 100 likes, I will do an item-only run and see if that is even possible in this game. I think that would be an interesting run to go through. As usual, do leave a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment down below and share your thoughts. Subscribe for future videos so that you don't miss out, and as always, remember, siege the day. Thank you very much for watching.